Okay guys, welcome back, and we've got another fit for you. So we've got Steve, who's a brand new customer into TXG today. We've never met until this morning.
Correct.
Right, so this is kind of the whole series that Matt and I were kind of talking about doing, where we want to show you guys what just an organic fit looks like. There's nothing staged, there's nothing going on here. Literally, Steve, this is the first day we've ever met Steve.
Yep.
We've never seen him hit a shot till 10 minutes ago.
Exactly.
Right, so this is kind of the whole purpose, to show you guys what it's like to get fit when someone brings in their own equipment, what the whole experience is at TXG.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Steve, let's tell everyone a little bit about your game. So 6 to 8 handicap.
Yeah, that's correct.
About there, okay.
Yeah.
What's the best part of your game?
Best part of my game? Probably after I've made a few mistakes, saving a score.
Good, scrambling.
Staying away from double bogeys, probably.
Right, I like that.
Putting and chipping.
Good. Iron play, how is that?
Probably the weakest part of my game.
Okay.
As far as being consistent.
And that's what we're really focused on today.
Right. Yeah.
How long have you had these irons?
This will be my second year with these. Yeah.
Good. So Taylormade PSIs, Aerotech steel fibers, popular head, popular shaft. So let's kind of do the test and see if that's exactly.
And
what
we've not really chatted about graphite irons yet.
No,
graphite shafted irons.
Yeah.
So this will be.
And there's been some questions, hasn't
there? There's been quite a few. Yeah. I think people are curious about it, so I'm curious about it too.
What were your thoughts when someone first gave you a set of graphite shafted irons?
Well, I think that I'm pretty indifferent when it comes to, as long as it's the latest technology. I'm curious. I do find that these shafts are a little easier on the body per se.
Right.
Yeah, and I play a lot, so I'm playing 100 times a year. So
yeah, 100 times a year.
Yeah, I'll get out 100 times a year.
Good
yeah, so I do notice a little bit of that as opposed to steel 300s or something like that, whatever you guys are.
Yeah.
So
well, you make such a great point about the graphite and the shock absorption that you get in the graphite, where it doesn't quite ride up into the wrists and the elbows.
Absolutely.
And it's a little easier on the body.
Absolutely.
And I have had some elbow issues, so it's kind of dissipated.
Without a doubt. And the steel fiber profile being the graphite core with the steel wire wrapped around it, that kind of gives you the best of both worlds. So you get the feel of the graphite with the structural stability of the steel, because it's at the core, so you get the best of both worlds.
So that's why it's called
there.
Steel fiber.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Mystery solved.
Yeah, I know. And it's it's a shaft. It has appeared on the PGA Tour. Zach Johnson used it for a long time. Snedeker had it. Graham McDowell has been in and out of it. I think he's out it now. But
is Kuchar using it too?
Kuchar played it.
Oh,
yeah. He actually got Snedeker into it because he was using it. He tried his backup set. They, at the time, were both at Bridgestone, and he tried his backup set and really liked them. So
interesting.
It's a shaft that certainly made its way onto the PGA Tour, as we say. So on the spec, I took a little look at these. You've got standard loft and a little bit more upright. I don't know if you knew that. Did you know that the clubs are a little bit more upright in setup?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay. So, and that's when we do blueprint people's, our customers' equipment before they come in, we learn about the specs, because sometimes it plays a big part as to why maybe you've got a certain miss. Right. So what do you feel like are your typical ball flight patterns with these?
I'm more so now because I felt I was losing a little distance trying to hit draws. And shaping my shots that way. I had a few significant bad moves. I swing more over the top, more flipping my hands. So I'm trying to stay back on it and play that.
So you saw a little too much to the left side of the course.
Yeah, I kind of get over the top.
Yeah.
Like we were talking before, is that's hockey, that slap shot. Kind of you get over the top.
Sure.
Whereas now you kind of gotta. And reverse by, which is like golf, I guess.
That's built into the DNA of a Canadian, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
The slap shot's in there. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When I first moved here, I was actually really surprised how aggressive the transition of the golf swing was from Canadian golfers.
Yes.
And a lot of that is from hockey. So, in Scotland, players have a certain tendency, because they play so much in the wind. In Canada, they have certain tendencies because they play hockey so much. So you've got the other things that shape your golf swing based on the other activities you do.
And in the States, you get more people playing baseball, so you got to factor that in.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah,
for sure.
Let's take a look at it. Let's hit some, Steve. Let's see what they're doing.
Okay, here we go.
Really nice. Really, really nice there.
Go in.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so that takes care of what the good shot looks like.
Yeah, Steve said a good one to start.
So, yeah. You want to see a bad one?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, great stuff. I mean, we couldn't really have asked any more from you. Your first first 5 shots, your average was 0.5 offline, which is excellent. Let's have a look at the flight, or let's have a look at the swing first. So a little bit into out, so we would expect to see a little bit of a draw, Steve. Okay, that's your club path average.
Right.
A fraction down on your angle of attack, so 5.3 would tell me that your divot size is reasonably deep in the divot.
Wow.
Your average dynamic loft at 24.5 is absolutely fine. So, shot pattern wise, I mean, really, really good.
So pretty close.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Just had the one little bit right.
Yeah.
What is, you were mentioning, Steve, that you tend to pull them if you're missing?
Yeah, I think if once in a while, and then I'll just try to, it's either it's the devil, right? You try to not pull, and then you kind of flare it out once in a while.
So once you see one, you start to actually see the other.
Exactly. Right. So my next shot would probably be trouble.
Right, because you want to correct for the right shot. Gotcha.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the strikes were variable. They were across the face. Just looking at the horizontal impact, we saw anywhere from 13 millimeters in the toe to 19 millimeters in the heel.
Yep.
So the iron is actually doing quite a nice job of masking those strikes. You lost a little bit more from the heel strike in terms of the carry distance. Dropped you down about 10 yards from where you had been in the low 160s to the low 150s. I mean, it's hard to criticize it when it's as good as what it is, but let's look at it and say you don't get as much out of the irons as you should.
Sure.
So you're swinging really nicely, 86 miles an hour, but your efficiency is quite low.
Okay.
An average of 160 on the carry distance is a bit on the low side for your swing speed. Steve, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
54.
54.
Yep.
What we're going to do today will matter less to you today than it will in 5 years. We're going to pick you up some yards.
Okay.
You won't really the full value of that right now because you hit it fine right now. 170 is as far as your first 4 shots went.
Right.
Yeah.
But in 5 years' time, the 6-iron probably won't be going 170.
Totally. Yep.
So, that's where we're going to start to factor in where your irons are going to be for the next several years.
And is just the average carry versus total, I know we've got it on a pretty soft setting just to simulate a proper green. Is that an issue that it's rolling at an average of 8 yards? Because that's about 25 feet on the green. Is that okay for the 6-iron?
It's okay. I mean, without a doubt, we set the green there at 170, which is kind of what the rollout was. So one thing I was looking at going, okay, Steve's good if there's nothing at the front of the green.
That's kind of what I was going to sort of
if there's a bunker at the front of the green, or or the pin's tucked a little bit, we might have a few more issues.
So descent angle 43.7 on average, is that
a fraction flat?
Okay.
Yeah, we would like to see that coming in a little bit steeper.
And based on his peak height, is that a question of us getting him more launch or getting him more spin? Neither.
Velocity.
More ball speed.
The launch and spin are great.
Okay.
Right, 18 with 53 is right where it needs to be.
Yep.
The average ball speed needs to be closer to 115, 116.
Okay.
So we will take that towards 95 feet just by affecting the output.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's going to stay. I really like what's happening there with the launch and spin. Those are just fine.
Great.
No problem. All right, Steve, let's put some clubs together for us, see what we can do.
Okay.
Steve, we've got a work cut out for us. You're not making it easy on us here. Okay, those first 4 shots, I've probably never seen that in the whole time I've been club fitting.
You're so good.
4 tap-in birdies. I mean, like you said though, there's going to be some inconsistencies, and I saw a couple of things in the set makeup that tell me that there could be at times a few issues. So, I really want to build in a little bit more of a slightly more explosive head for you. I want to get you a little bit more bang for your buck in terms of ball speed, getting a little bit more of that going. Okay, so your ball speed's fine right now, but like we said, in a few years' time, you're probably going to want to be where you are now in about 5 years. So that means we've got to improve it a little bit just now. Okay, so we've went with the new Taylormade, the P790. We kept you in graphite because, like you said, we're conscious of a few ailments that you've got. I've got you in a different graphite shaft, a different type of graphite shaft though. This is a constant weight graphite shaft. This is some of the intricacies of picking a certain shaft. So Steve was playing a parallel steel fiber 95 gram shaft. Okay. Right? So when we take in a set 7 parallel shafts, okay, they're all the same weight. Right. And we basically cut to length. Okay. The shortest shaft is going to be the lightest.
So you're starting with 7 identical shafts.
Seven 41-inch blank shafts. Okay. Right? Okay. And then when we go, 4 iron is cut this amount, 5 irons cut more, 6 is cut more. So those set of 7 blanks have now been cut, so they progress on the scale, and the shortest is the lightest.
Which doesn't sound ideal.
Not ideal. No, it's not ideal at all. So that's why I'm going to actually take, for someone like Steve, I would rather see him play a constant weight set of shafts.
That's really interesting.
Right.
That's the kind of thing that I don't think people would be aware of.
100%.
I just assumed that they came in different lengths and they trimmed them, but that's...
Taper tip shafts are more like that, but
that's more of a driver thing, right? Like this is... For the irons, there's how many inches between the pitching wedge and the 4 iron? How many inches?
Well, your standard pitching wedge is 35 3/4. Your standard 4 iron is 38.5.
So that's a lot of weight.
That's a lot of weight to lose.
And you don't want less weight in your more controlled clubs. You want the complete opposite.
So from a perspective of me starting to build what I think Steve needs in ways in which I can make his set better, I would rather see him play a constant weight set of shafts. So they at the right lengths, they all stay at the appropriate weight for that, so they don't get too light towards the shorts.
And this is an Acra shaft.
This is an Acra shaft, fractionally heavier than what Steve's got, and it'll be interesting to see if he feels that way. Yeah. What it's got.
Steve was mentioning he's a feel guy, so that it'll be great to get his feedback on that.
Without a doubt. So right, let's set a couple with this and take a look, see what the numbers are saying to us. So we have picked up the ball speed a little bit, Steve. Dispersion-wise, though, it's not as consistent as what you had. Right. So obviously, name of the game now is going to be to start to get a hold of this, and really shrink that dispersion down. Sure. Little bit higher, like we talked about, and that's not really that's coming from the same launch angle. That's a little bit less spin, but the peak height is coming out a little bit more. So,
and we even saw that his best hit landed much softer despite having maybe less spin, but it was the actual descent angle was better.
For sure. Okay, now watching you hit more and more shots, we learn more about you all the time. You've got a really interesting tendency with the grip, which is to hold off the end of the club.
Yeah, right? It's a bad habit.
Yeah, so when I saw your old clubs, they're standard length. Right. And I went, I wonder if they're a little bit short for Steve. But you actually effectively make the club play longer because you hold it off the end of the grip, and a lot of people do that. So that was one of the things that might make this particular club a little more difficult to strike, is that it actually is playing a bit longer, because I gave Steve a half-inch extra
to try to decide if that might help him.
Right.
Interesting.
So I'm going to just change that up. I'm going to go back in terms of the length, and you felt that was quite stiff, that particular model.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, actually, I can feel it. Like that's the kind of club I like, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you quite enjoy it.
You can hit it, and you can feel it, and
heavy contact almost.
Like,
yeah, good. Okay, right. Let's change into a different shaft. See if we can key into some of those feels.
Interesting.
Okay, Steve. So first club we put together for you, we saw some improvement in the ball speed. We didn't see the accuracy though, because the one thing we don't want to do is make it take your strength and turn it into a weakness.
Right.
We want to take, obviously, the weaknesses and improve those. So we've changed a couple of things. We've went to actually a different profile of shaft. So let's see how this one does for you.
Okay.
And we put them back to the standard length?
Back to standard length,
Gotcha.
yeah, which hopefully should clean up the strike a little bit.
That was an interesting little thing, though, because your observation was a good one, but for Steve, it just obviously felt weird to you, and that would explain just part of the inconsistency.
Yeah, right. Definitely, and it's kind of key to look for things like, okay, where do they hold it in the club, because that's going to make the effective length of club change.
Yeah, very interesting.
Okay.
Just a little heavy?
Yeah, sounded a fraction heavy, but not too bad.
Yeah, that's better.
Sounded better?
Yeah.
You can just see the angle of descent.
Yeah.
It looks way, way, way steeper. And he's flying at that full distance.
One of the reasons, Matt, at TXG, I built these fitter desks down, basically so you're down the line of the golfer.
Yeah.
Is you learn so much more. The way the lights are in the studio, I can see how much the head is deflecting for Steve. So you're probably feeling through impact, you're probably feeling the club getting a bit stuck right now.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not really getting that clean contact where you feel like...
Yeah.
Yep. I can see it. I can actually see that head deflecting down a little bit. I can see the kind of light shine the head. So
interesting.
The sole width is causing you a problem right now. You're not getting it through the club head, through the strike point as clean as we would like. Playing the PSI Tours, it's a little bit of a narrower sole, which you get in and out the turf for a little quicker. P790 is a little bit too wide.
So do you think that the extra friction of that sole is making his heavy shots maybe worse?
Shorter. It's making so the club can't maintain its speed down through the shot because it can't skip in and out of the strike zone.
Very
so
interesting.
it's got to get in and out of that as quickly as it can, and that's the importance of having a nice clean divot, so that you can, because we identified at the start, Steve is on the fraction of the steeper side.
Yeah.
5.3 down was what we averaged with your own iron. So we already, I was looking for, okay, what does the club do through the strike? Because that's what determines what sole we need to use.
It's more important for someone that is steeper to get that sole right. If you're sweeping it, it probably won't factor
less of
in
an
that much.
If you're a picker, the sole design is less of an issue. When you're a little more into the turf, it's a much bigger deal.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm not seeing that being particularly good.
That's interesting.
Okay, so regardless of what the good ones look like, and there'll be improved ball speed, no question off of that one, I would see there being too many kind of heavy strikes.
Because the first and third one were heavy, for sure, Steve.
Yes.
And the second one was a pretty good
quite
hit,
good.
and we saw a nice flight and nice carry.
Exactly.
But on the golf course, if you hit one a little heavy, you don't want to be 20 yards short.
No. So there's where the good one flies 169 and the miss flies 150. Well,
that's
sometimes and you maybe didn't feel as much as we could see how much that club was getting stuck in the ground. All you know is you've got a shot that flies 150 and one that flies 170, and how do you ever pick a club? It's really tough.
Yeah.
So, I'm already going to pull that one out of your hands.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to grab some different type of head.
There you go.
All right, Steve. So we changed into a different type of head. We went with the Epic Pro head. We talked there just after hitting the P790 about the sole width being a little bit too thick.
Yes.
Right. So we wanted to go with something a little bit narrower in the sole. So the Epic Pro still keeps the technology factor, but has a little bit of a thinner sole. So we were saying, with Steve through the turf, his club was getting a little stuck with the wide sole.
Yeah.
So we were losing a little bit of energy through that. And going with the Epic, we certainly cleaned that up, and it resulted in quite a lot more ball speed.
It definitely did. I mean, the differences between the shots that were getting stuck in the turf with the P790 versus the shots that were a little heavy with the Epic Pro, they just seemed to get through it a little better and didn't drop the ball speed as much.
Without a doubt. So, strike-wise, we were hitting the Epic Pro a little lower in the head, and that will account for a little bit of the sort of the lower launch characteristics that we're getting from the slightly lower strike.
Yeah.
Pretty straight on both of them, in all honesty.
Well, the best shots were just as good in terms of dispersion. Yeah. There's no doubt about that.
Without a doubt.
I think the comfort level with Steve's current set, he's played, how many years he had those, Steve?
2 years now.
So he's played a lot of rounds of golf with them, very familiar with the weight. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of a discomfort with a new club, and I think that kind of accounts for the inconsistency. But when you take really good shot to really good shot, he's got so much more ball speed with the Epic Pro and even the P790. It just wasn't as good on the mishit.
And the Epic Pro is the one we talked about last week in the Y in the bag for Phil, and he had it in his foreiron.
It was his long iron, right?
Yeah. So it does launch high and that sort of thing for him. So you can even see, just comparing those two peak heights, the blue one's every bit as high, even though the launch and spin are down a little bit. Now, it was really interesting because the loft is only 1 degree different. The Epic Pro I measured at 28. The PSI I measured at 29.
Really? So this is not a super strong iron?
Not super strong, but we are getting quite different spin rates.
Very different.
So I would like to see us to get that spin rate back up a fraction. That's a little bit on the low side at just shy of 4,400.
So will we look at a little bit more loft then?
A little bit more loft without a doubt, and we'll. I want to try one more head as well.
Sounds good.
Okay. Such a different flight from this iron, Steve. It's significantly higher.
Yeah.
It's stopping so much faster as well.
So we've got that spin up to where we wanted it, but we've got it with the ball speed.
Yeah, which is so much more ball speed.
So much more. So if we look at that on the comparison, we're starting to see exactly what we wanted. So keep this. Boost the ball speed, which is what results in obviously a much better.
So we've given him a 1.5 degrees more loft on the Epic Pro, and we've gone upright 2 degrees to match what we had with his previous set.
I mean, the thing with the PSI was it was working so well for you from an accuracy standpoint, really straight. So no reason to change that.
No.
We just had to add some horsepower to the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
we just needed a little bit more jump. Yeah. So keeping the ball, the launch and spin characteristics, but just going with a quicker head is exactly what you need, Steve. So let's hit a couple more with this. This looks really good.
Yeah, there you go.
So good.
Great strike.
Yeah, that was good.
That is perfect. Look at the difference in the carry.
Big difference, isn't
it? Really is. And the landing angle and such a playable shot. Not too much backspin, but it's a heavy ball, so it's coming down nice and steep and stopping on the green.
46-degree land angle. No, I really like that. There's a definite difference in output with that Callaway Epic Pro. Really good. I mean, we've not really had to change into more of a game improvement club either.
So that's actually, while you were making adjustments, Steve and I chatted for a minute, and just looking at his irons, to me, like, different brand, obviously, Taylormade to Callaway. They're kind of a similar profile and design, a little bit of carbon fiber in the back. They sort of have a similar look to them. So I think maybe that, that profile really seems to suit Steve's golf swing.
A comfort to that.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at it shot to shot, I mean, averaging now 170, and that was with the odd miss hit, but 175 average carry is going to be so useful to you to be able to fly your 6 iron another, well, based on your own ones, it's another 15 yards.
Yeah. So his comparing, obviously there's some variance, but best shot to best shot, really good straight shots. They were 10-15 yards further in the air and stopped faster.
A full club.
Yeah.
I mean, we can definitely comfortably say you will be a full club further. 118 ball speed, 119 actually at its best, but versus 113.8 with the PSIs. 5 miles an hour difference.
That's amazing.
It's quite a lot.
So, and to get back to why you added more loft, and this relates to the video we did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
sometimes these new irons, you get too hot. And Steve hit a couple, that went 185, 195, and that's not going to serve him well on the course. So that's why you said, let's drop the loft back, a little higher, a degree and a half. We got a little more spin, and then the stabilization of the yardage just really came into play there.
Without a doubt, we had to up that spin rate from where it was early on, so we can be able to still, get the same benefits. Because it's not like we were taking, I keep saying it, but it's not like we were taking a bad set of irons.
Not at all. No.
The PSIs were working really, really nicely, but it was just a case of getting a little bit more out of it, because hopefully Steve has these irons for another few years.
Yeah.
And that time we want to make sure that any distance loss is masked by the technology.
That's the thing. It may take 5-10 years before it even catches back up to it, which is great.
Definitely. And I think this is the challenge with trying to buy off the rack, Steve. You go in there and try and buy off the rack, and you go, okay, those clubs are going a little bit further, but they go too low, so I'll put them away. Well, you don't have to put them away. No. You don't have to not choose them because they do too low. They just have to be tuned in and dialed into the right setting. The
difference between the adjustments, just the last two, with a little more loft and the upright lie angle, was like night and day. Yeah. He was hitting them just as straight, but full club difference and better stopping power.
Without a doubt.
And taking the time to actually make those adjustments rather than just saying, as you said, that's no good, move on.
How did it feel when you were striking that versus your own?
I think I feel it's a little stiffer, actually. I like the feel of it because when I'm hitting the ball, it doesn't get as soft.
Right.
If that's an explanation, like noodly kind of.
So
I actually quite like it. I like the weight of it, actually.
Okay.
It's very
the
nice.
overall balance is quite good.
Very nice.
One of the things with your steel fiber irons that I kind of never mentioned to you at the start, but when I measured it, the swing weight was really quite light. So it was down at around D0. Which we do at times see some steel fiber sets come out a little bit light. The balance point's a fraction higher in that shaft. So the swing weight, so for you that's keeping all the weight down at the kind of hitting area down by the head, keeping that swing weight around D3, D4, which is closer to sort of what this would be. Right. Certainly D2, maybe D3, D4 is a fraction heavy, but you certainly be D2 anyway.
Right.
Okay. Good stuff.
Yeah,
excellent.
That was awesome.
Good. Well, guys, another little look at some different types of fits we get here at TXG. Not everyone's walking in with clubs that are broken.
No, I think this was a great video just to show you could get someone coming in with a great fit that just wants new clubs.
That's right.
And you got to really get a good fitting to make sure you don't leave with something worse.
100%. And that's the main thing, that if we didn't see something right there that wasn't going to give Steve another gear, a little bit extra firepower, I would have just said to him, you've got a great set of sticks.
I know. But look at the comparison. They're so similar, but 5 mile an hour more ball speed, 10 yards further on the carry, and better stopping power. It's like a no-brainer at this point.
Why not? Exactly. Okay, guys, thanks a lot, and we look forward to getting back to you in the near future.